Hey everybody,
Hello.
how y'all doing? Y'all know what it is. It's fresh insight, new perspective.
Yes.
Every fourth Thursday, but it's the fifth Thursday because it's a long month.
Yes.
So this is a long month, but it's me, Zip My Motivation, and
Hi, my name is Dr. Sierra Davis. I am in charge of holistic soul care, and I'm happy to be here and be back with you all again.
yes. So tonight we have a special guest. But before all of that happens, I have to find my phone so it don't ring.
It's good. People,
Gotta
everyone will
go.
want to call me at the same time. No one will call me before that, but when I'm doing something, that's when the phone
All
will
day.
be.
Nobody called me. Then as soon as I get on the show, here they go. I'm like, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute. So, but we're gonna do our normal thing. What we do, I'll be praying, and Dr. Sierra will be doing her sound bowl. So if that's not something that you're into, you can get off, and then you can get
Yes.
back on again once we finish, and then we're gonna bring up our special guest. Okay. All right. Lord, thank you for your time. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the space. Thank you for each and every person that's watching. I pray that you would touch their lives, that you would touch their hearts, that you would keep them safe during this time, that you begin to transform their mind, transform their heart and their spirit. Allow them to bring light. Allow them to learn like you. I pray for the guest. I pray that he speaks freely, that you remove every hindrance, that you remove every blockage, all evil eyes, all evil words, anything that may try to come and distract us and hinder us from what we can plan to do tonight.
All right. Amen.
So we are going to bring up Dr. Crabb, and I'm gonna let him because y'all don't tell people business. So I'm gonna let him talk about what he do and where he's from and what he's about to do. And he has a lot of information. So just sit back and relax. And then Dr. Sierra and I are going to ask him some questions to
Yes.
better understand what he does. So I'm going to bring him up now.
Thank you so much for that soundbar, Mister.
Hello. Welcome. Very nice to meet you. Pleasure.
Absolutely.
Welcome,
Nice to
welcome.
meet both of you.
Yes.
Awesome.
So you're here. We got you here.
hmm
Dr.
Okay.
Cab, won't you tell the people, tell them like a little bit about you, who you are for the ones that don't know who you are.
Okay. And that's a loaded question because there's a lot of people who think they know who I am and don't know who I am. Because I'm not the same person I was, in a former life. You know, how much time do I have?
This is your hour, so just go.
Okay.
It's
All
your
right.
hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I do a lot of mental health therapy, and I always tell them start at the beginning. I have a reason for that. Because of adverse childhood experiences play a very important part in the things that we do as adults. So I'm going to start at the beginning. All right, far back as I can remember. Um, my mother. First of all, I'm from Philadelphia. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. Okay, so my mother, when she had me, I had an older brother, and his father's family took my brother from my mother, and somehow or another, I wound up with another family that raised me for about 5 or 6 years until the lady died. And when my mother came, and I found out that was my mother, I knew that was my mother as soon as I saw her. I knew that was my biological mother. And during those days, if you can imagine, in the 60s, we're talking about, when Black Power was strong, everybody was running around throwing a fist in the air, hey, sister love, hey, my brother, Black Power, power to the people, let the people have the power. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. It was that era. And my mother was a part of that with the Black Panthers. She was a part of the Underground Railroad. Now, at that time, it meant nothing. She was just hiding some people from the police. the FBI. Now, 'cause later in years, she's an icon now. She's a real pioneer. She's about to turn 81. So at that time, though, she was addicted to 7 different drugs. So her taking me away from the comfort and security of people who took care of me into this other life was like a culture shock for me. And back then, they used to get welfare checks every 2 weeks. She'll get $150 every 2 weeks, and she'll give me a $20 bill. I'll go get me a Philly cheesesteak, you know, and that'll probably be the only real meal I eat for the next 2 weeks. So at 7 years old, I had to fend for myself, basically. Um, in between that, I went from pillar to post. My grandmother, my aunts, stayed with my cousins, with my aunt. You know how it go. My mother wound up getting married when I was 9 years old, and she married a Muslim. And this brother, he really was like sincere about raising kings. He refused to raise niggers. He said he was going to raise kings, and he was very adamant about that. And he used to talk so much, we would fall asleep and wake up, and he'd still be talking. Dad, you ain't see me sleep, yeah, but ain't no such thing going one ear and coming out the other. He said, what goes in stays in. It's going to be handy later on in life. Oh, you crazy. You don't know what you talking about. We sleep. But what he said did come to pass, in my lifetime. We came to Florida in May of 1980. I was 17 years old. And we came directly to Miami Beach. It was only one other family of color, Black Americans, that lived on South Beach at that time. So we were like a novelty, and at the same time, it was the Mariolita boat lift. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but Castro was emptying all his insane asylums, all his prisoners, and he was just sending them to America. Well, my mother and father would take them in as they come off the water and feed them and house them and clothe them. And we would English, and they would teach us Spanish. So I'm pretty good at Spanish right now, and it was a beautiful thing. And I was a beach bum. I was a beach boy. I swam in the ocean every day for years, and I mean, it was just a beautiful experience coming from North Philly to New York to South Miami Beach. It was like, and the years went by. 5-6 years later, these same people that we helped will come to me as I'm like 20, 25 years old,
Right.
Hey, my friend, you can come in, my friend. I got it under for you. I got it on you. Take it, man. And for you making some money, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I got 3 ounces of cocaine in my hand. Well, after a while, I guess you know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I went, I partied a little bit, and the party lasted about 22 years.
Right.
When I tell you that I didn't hit rock bottom, I was underneath a rock bottom.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
I dumpster dived. I was shooting I had $1,000 a day habit for about 5 years straight.
Wow.
And I was newly married with a baby. I got married when I was 20 years old. So somehow or another, I always kept some moralistic value, that knowing that, this woman I had been, dating, and she got pregnant, it's only right I marry her and have my child carry my name. It's just the right thing to do.
Right.
But in the meantime, I'm no longer a drug addict. I'm a junkie.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I wound up being the exact same thing that I came from.
Right.
And I went in and out of jails. I went in and out of prisons. You know, I
Right.
was come to Dade County Jail. They call Dade County Jail. Well, they had one cell that they had painted on the wall, "House of Pain" in blood.
Mm.
Blood. You know, they would call it Gladiator School. You
Mm.
know, and
Wow.
they had a whole cell on the first floor where people was just back there, all the jars wired up. They got sipped through straws. You know, they didn't put their eyeballs back in their head. They got patches and stuff. You know,
Oh.
it was a very violent place
Right.
to be, and I thrived there.
Mm.
Wow.
I
So
thrived.
wait a minute. You said through, hold on, because you went from childhood going through a lot of, like a lot of adverse things, and then teenage, then adult. But you had your stepfather who was kind of like that light for you. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like that was that
yeah.
light for you. So then, even as an adult, you went to prison and you had to see things, or you went to jail and prison, you had to see things like that.
Well, here's the thing. Um, my problem is I don't know how to half do anything.
Okay.
Okay, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna play with it. I'm going all the way.
Right.
But people were getting high with me and going into convulsions, because of the amount of drugs that I was putting in my system.
Mhm.
There was no like, okay, one day I'm gonna wake up and I ain't gonna do it no more.
Mm.
No, that didn't
Mm.
exist for 22 years until the
Mm.
end. When one day I said I was gonna wake up and not buy any more crack cocaine, and that was at the end of that 22 years. I thank God that was 19 years ago.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
but that experience going through that, and at the same time, mind you, I'm a hustler. I'm a gangster. I'm a
Right.
player, and I'm an entertainer. I grew up on stage. I didn't tell you my mother owned a theater company. My father write plays and movies and all
Wow.
kinds of stuff. So,
Wow.
so I grew up on stage,
Right.
singing and dancing, and so I was an entertainer. I hung out in the clubs. I know y'all kind of young. Y'all might not know about the '80s and the '90s scene in the clubs, but it was popping. I said,
From what I hear, I'm from Baltimore, Dr. Crabb. So I'm from
"You
East
from where?"
Baltimore. So my
Okay,
family and a lot of them talk about the club. So
yeah, it was
yeah,
popping. It was fun.
yeah.
We were still dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And Fat Joe came out saying, "We don't dance anymore. All we do is this." And since then, that's also been done in the clubs, except for negative things. There's nothing positive going on.
So I have a
So
question, Dr. Crabb, not to because the way you speak, I feel like I'm flipping the pages. It's so beautiful the way that you put your words together, and just I'm imagining, your experience just from how colorful your language is and how engaging. So I'm really appreciative of your time. You said it was a violent place and I thrived there. I'm like, wow, like I just see that in big quotes. Like, what a powerful phrase. What was it? What was it about that experience where you thrived in such a place that many people succumb to?
well, it's
Um,
just like on Miami Beach. Like I said, I was a gangster. I wasn't a thug. I was a real gangster. And if you don't know the difference, it's okay. But anybody who knows the difference, they know what I'm talking about. You know, uh, I was dangerous and well respected. you know, but I was the good guy until you did me wrong. Then you got to wear the wrath. But I get my shirt off my back to anybody. I've always been like that all my life. If I got a bowl of soup, you can have half of it. And I did that literally quite a few times. Split a ramen noodle soup in half with somebody,
wow.
because it's survival.
Mhm.
Hey, you know. Um, but here's the thing: all that I went through got me to the point where I said that tomorrow when I wake up, I'm not buying no more dope. I'm
Mhm.
tired of going to sleep broke every night,
Mhm.
you know, and have to worry about what I'm gonna eat tomorrow. I'm tired of living like this. And when I woke up, my house was surrounded by police, you know, and they arrested me and had all these crazy charges on me with the girl I was with at that time. When I told her that, and she, oh, I'm with you, baby, I'm with you. And then she went and told the police I kidnapped her, beat her, and raped her. We was together about a year, you know, and I went to sleep and we made love and everything. I went to sleep and she went and gave me my semen samples and everything like I raped her, and so I was facing 2 life sentences plus 40 years.
Wow.
And they told me if I was found guilty at trial, I would have to do a life sentence, die, come back, do another life sentence, die, come back, and do 85% of 40 years.
Wow.
So
That's
I
a
said,
lot.
but at the time I was like 42, I think. And I was like, well, what's the offer? They say 25 years. Hold on, 25 years. I know in 25 years, if I live through it, I'm going to wind up doing the whole 25 years because I'm gangster. Ain't nobody, I'm not going to be the one to die.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'll be 67 when I get out. Ooh, I can't sit because remember I was 42. I was a pretty boy and everything. Ooh, no, I can't see myself getting out at 67.
Right.
I'm well go all the way. So I did go all the way, and I won in trial because they caught her. She told all different kinds of stories. It was just crazy.
Right.
But she had a passion mark on her neck, and they charged me with misdemeanor battery for that. Right? Because she said I grabbed the throat, and that's what it was.
Mm.
And they enhanced that misdemeanor, which carries like less up to a year. They enhanced it and made it a third-degree felony, which makes it up to 5 years. And then
Wow.
they gave me the max, which is 5 years. Then they habitualized me and doubled it and made it 10 years. So you can imagine I was very, very angry
Right.
at her because I trusted her. It's supposed to be my woman.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
was very angry, and she knew I was gangster, so she was very afraid, very, And I was plotting all kinds of because I knew I was gonna get out. Now I got 10 years. I'm gonna get out of here. When I get out, I'm gonna find her, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that.
Right.
And that rage and that need for revenge burned in me so bad that I didn't like it.
Right.
Right. And somewhere, somehow, somebody told me, you need to forgive her.
Wow.
You out your mind. You know who I am? Forgive her. She lucky I don't break her little neck.
Right.
See, no, you need to really, really forgive. If you ever want to be forgiven for anything, you need to honestly, not just say, okay, I forgive. You know how they say, forgive but don't forget. No,
Right.
yeah, not that kind of forgive.
Right.
Real deal from the bottom of
Yeah.
your heart. Have forgiveness in your heart for this person. It took me a few months, wrangling it out, but I winded up having forgiveness in my heart. And that sparked something in me that was in me from when I was a little boy, running through Fairmont Park playing with the butterflies. The natural me. And I liked it. I really liked it. But I couldn't hold on to it. Because I didn't have any control. It was like outside of me, but in me. Then somebody told me, say, you know what? You can't. I remember my father saying, you can't even stop blinking. You don't control nothing. And I was like, oh, okay. And I heard these people, get in the meetings, in the NA meetings, and the AA meetings. I went to about 2 million of them, over the 22 years. I've even actually led them and stuff, And I realized I had to give myself up totally to something bigger than me.
Right.
And when I did that, and then that was just part of, okay, I give up me. I'm your Take me, I'm yours. Do with me what you will. That sound pretty, right? But then I was told to be obedient to what I was told to do. In the meantime, while I'm doing this in prison, I'm writing books. This one of them right here. I'm writing books. I'm writing
Right.
plays. I'm playing music. I'm taking courses. I'm learning new languages. I learned about 7 languages in there. I'm doing everything I can to fill myself up with something other than what I had when I came in there.
Right. Right.
You know, and it got to the point where I was like ready to bloom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a scary thing to be in prison. Let me tell you, because people in there are never getting out, ever,
Right.
and they don't feel comfortable around you. They don't feel comfortable around you. I was always in a role of leadership too on the compound. So I decided to be a positive leader. I started tutoring people in English. I got on the praise team. I did plays. I played music. I sang. I did whatever gifts that was given to me to fill that void of who I used to be.
Right.
Empty that out and bring this new person in.
Right.
Something happened, and I started visioning things, and I was told to write it down. So I wound up writing a $500 million proposal with 47 programs. And it was under Transcontinental Society Unlimited Productions. And I had Transcontinental Society was given to me by the Spirit in 1990. At
Right.
that time, I was rapping and singing. So it was Transcontinental Society Recording Company. It was Transcontinental Society Productions, you know.
Right.
And then I left that for many years. And years later came back as Transcontinental Society Unlimited Productions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I filled myself with that, and I wrote all my programs. I had some awesome things on paper, and everybody saying, "Yeah, it look good on paper, Crabb. What you gonna do when you get out, nigga? What you gonna do when you get
Right.
out?" I said, "I don't know, but I'm gonna be obedient." You know, and he would have me pushing people in wheelchairs. I became an orderly, and he had me pushing around sex offenders in wheelchairs. And I had to have enough forgiveness in my heart and enough love of God in my heart in order to be cordial with them. And not only cordial, but wind up being their friends. When they transfer them, they would cry, Mr. Crabb, oh, Mr. Crabb, you go, oh, no, Mr. Crabb, I needed you. That's how they treated me. And that's
Right.
how the whole compound treated me. When I stepped out on September the 20th, 2013, I did 8.5 years with $50 in the clothes on my back. They told me I had to go to OIC, I had to do this, I had to do that, I had to make sure I had a job, I had to go to meet 30 meetings, 30. And I had $50 in the clothes on my back, and pass the urine test. I got to make sure I report, and I don't care if you got a job, you got to be at that office every month, and they just gonna have to understand.
Right.
So I got out and I say, well, I do know how to go get that money. Just because I've been going 8.5 years, ain't nothing changed but the faces. I know how to go get it. But I decided to make a conscious decision not to go down that road.
Right.
Okay. I decided that I didn't want to be that dude no more.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working. I would work through labor pool. And at the time, my wife, who was at the gate when I got out September 20th, we got married December the 1st. And at the time, um, um, she was having my sons. you
Mm-hmm.
know, that's a whole nother story. I didn't have no heirs, and I prayed for a son. I got two. you
Let
know,
me ask. Can I ask you a question? Because I noticed you were saying that when you got out of prison, they wanted you to do like classes in 30 days. They wanted you to do all these programs and be at this place, probation, whatever else you had to do. How did that? How did you feel about that mentally? Because I know a lot of people, even getting out of jail, they have so many things to do. But like you said, they only have $50 and the clothes on their back. You know what I'm saying?
But
But the
here's the
system
thing.
kind of like
Here's the
so.
thing with that. It's two ways you do anything, positively or negatively.
Okay.
Period. You can bitch, moan, and complain, or you can go on and put your shoulder against the wheel and push. And that's what I did. I refused to go back. I pushed forward. I worked one job. I had 3 uniforms. I clocked in on the 3 different time clocks. I was a cook, a busboy, and a dishwasher in one restaurant. You know, I would go to the labor pool. I would leave the house and catch the first bus running in Pompano at 5:30. And it'd be dark when I get home, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And I worked all day in the sun to get up and do it again. I did that and, until I got a bicycle. And it made it easier for me. You know, when you go to the pantry and get, little groceries and things like that, you know. And then I just kept going. I refused to go back. This is my motto. If you leave each day better than you find it, then in a year you'll be 365 times better. That's how I lived. I lived with a lot of love, a lot of laughter. Laughter is a very important spirit.
True.
I'm talking about if you're not hugging and kissing and laughing, you're missing something in the universe. You know, laughter. And I'm a comedian anyway. I do stand-up comedy too. But so keep my family in tears. You know, they always farting on themselves.
I love it.
Yeah. Come say hi. These are my young kings.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Stop acting like
Thank you for coming on and saying hi.
Come on, Mom. We ain't got all day.
Hi.
Hey.
Aren't they?
Actually, middle.
Yeah, my oldest boy. Yeah. These young fellas here, he is named after me. My Islamic name was Umar.
Okay.
He's named after my brother who's deceased. I told you about earlier, Fatim. You know, and they're exactly 14 months apart, just like me and my brother was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Keeping the legacy going.
Such a coincidence.
Thank you for coming. I have a question, Dr. Crabb. You talked about the concept of forgiveness, and you were saying that it took a few months, and I'm like, wow. I'm wondering, how did you get to the point of forgiveness? I mean, you've had so much come against you.
Okay. There's a lot of things happened in those few months.
Okay.
All right. I was a gambler, professional. So I'm gambling, and my partner, my spade partner, messed up.
Okay.
And I reached over and punched him in his mouth, and his mouth split open like a predator. Right. And everybody rushed to help him because he's bleeding all over the place. Because if the officers see it, they lock down the cell. Somebody going to jail because there was some physical harm done. So they rushed him to the shower and they took Band-Aids and closed his lip up. Then they told me he ain't mean no harm, man. He's kind of retarded. And I said, oh my God. Oh. Then I felt bad because he's handicapped. He's mentally retarded. I didn't know. He was just another white boy to me. You know? And that's just one of the instances where I felt regret for what I did and wanted to be forgiven. You know, that I knew how to forgive. I found out how to forgive. I didn't know how to forgive. I was never, ever, ever a person to forgive. Because if I have to pay the piper for dancing to the tune, so do everybody else.
So in that instance, you were on the other side of it where you needed it, and so it was then easier to give it because you understood that.
Now I understood it. I understood the spirit. At that time, I didn't even know it was a spirit. I thought it was an emotion or something. which are spirits. All
Mm,
emotions are spirits. I've learned later.
mm,
The spirit of happiness, the spirit of joy, the spirit of
mm,
envy, the spirit of strife, the spirit of success, the spirit of laughter, the spirit of this love. All those are real spirits, real entities, real celestial beings.
mm,
And we have, because we are created in God's image, we have power to call them to do our bidding.
mm.
That's real. That's real. You know, nobody got to believe me, but I work
Thank you.
it. I
Thank
work
you.
it, you know.
Right.
So, but I digress. Let me get back to where I was. All right.
Mhm.
Because when I came out and I was stomping and grinding, I'm praying consistently.
Mm,
All right. Consistently, my wife and I are praying, you know. Now, at the time, my wife is just, she's a good woman and she's having my children and, I mean, a real, real good woman. And of course, me being trying to be righteous, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I do right, and I did all that, you know, for the first few years. And then one day I told her, I said, baby, I'm tired of working in the sun. I'm getting old. I'm
mhm.
over 50 years old at that time. I can't do this no more. I outwork 9/10 of the young boys out there. Give me a pick, a hammer, a shovel, a sludge hammer. They couldn't hang with me,
Right.
I
you
believe
know.
it.
But I was tired. My body couldn't take it, and my spirit was restless. And I told her, say, you know what I do? Do you know what my gift is? I'm the salesman. That's what the gift God gave me. I can sell salt to a snug. I mean, I can sell. I
Right.
know how to sell. And I'm going to get me a sales job. So I went into and got me a little insurance thing. And he was just starting out. And I was like, yeah, we'll grow together. And and then downstairs they had the little thing for the little room for the vacations. So I went and got a job there. I would leave there, come there, and work from 9 in the morning to 9 at night. In that whole month, I made $250. My wife is like, "Look, you better go back to Liverpool, because at least then we know how much we making it." I said, "No, baby, I can't do it." I said, "Just pray on it." And I was on a bus going to work because I wasn't giving up. I told you I ain't got no backup in me. I don't know nothing about half doing nothing or giving up. I don't know nothing about that kind of stuff. And somebody said, "Man, yeah, they hiring down there at the insurance place, man. Go ask for Daniel." I said, "All right, let me see what they doing." I went in there, and these two Jewish guys, they saw me and took me under their wing
Right.
and turned me into a health insurance beast. Today, I'm a health insurance specialist.
Right.
Okay. Nobody outsold policy. We would cold call people, and I wound up with their social security numbers, their banking information, everything. One phone call, because, hi, I'm Dr. Crabb. I'm Mr. Crabb. My name is Warren Crabb. And my voice would just soothe them and let them
Right.
trust me, you know. And I sold. I went on to another company that was bigger, and I
Mhm.
was one of the top salesmen in that company. But then they had bought a brand new building and was gutting it and building it from the ground up. And they say, when we go over there, if you selling health insurance, you gotta have a license. Now I took my health insurance license, state test, I passed it, but they wouldn't give it to me because I'm an ex-con, you
Right.
know. So cool. All right, I can't get my license. They said, okay, we'll make you a supervisor of customer service there. Mind you, about 300 people work here, right?
Mm.
So I went in and revamped the customer service. So when people called in with complaints, I would find the answer and they would spend more money. That was my specialty. you know,
Wow.
when they leave, I don't want to talk to nobody, Mr. Warren. That's how they was. You
Right.
know, and we lived comfortably for a few years, and we got complacent. you know. But it wasn't so much a complacency of being comfortable financially, because at that time making $1,000 a week was, hey, paid vacation, that was for me,
That was
you
big.
know. Yeah,
Big.
one day we went to try to go find a nice place, a nicer place to live, and we had to go through the homeowners association. This was back in 2014, 15, and they said no, we can't live there because he's an ex-convict.
Hmm.
Wait a minute, hold on. But I did my time. Right now, I pay taxes a lot, a whole lot of taxes. Okay, I'm an upstanding community citizen. You know, I
Right.
have a family that's beautiful, and you're going to tell me because of something I did 25 years ago that I can't live here?
Right.
I said, oh, so ex-cons don't matter, huh? We
Mm.
don't matter, huh? If I was a dog and got abused and got mistreated, y'all run to they rescue you in droves, wouldn't you? And that's how I started ex-cons matter. And then I
Right.
started finding ex-convicts in the world that was doing positive things. And that's how I started ex-cons living in the world today. You
Right.
know. And then I would take all the children to the playground every day, and I would sit in my car and talk on Facebook,
Right.
you know, and I would just talk to my phone, and I would just, I'd be just spilling it.
Right.
To the day, I can't tell you where those things are or what was said on them. But now looking back in retrospect, I see I was being polished.
Hmm.
I was being prepared for something. I
Right.
for what? I just knew I was being obedient and doing what I was told. Okay. I went and got my doctorate in ministries. That's why I'm Dr. Crabb. You know,
Right.
I'm not a physician but I am a mental health specialist.
Right.
I am not a mental health therapist, a psychologist, psychiatrist, none of that. I specialize in mental health. I can look at a person and tell you their whole life story. That's how I survived with $1,000 a day habit, reading people.
Mm.
That's how I survived for 22 years, shooting and smoking cocaine and every other drug you can name, from angel dust down to meth. You know, that's how
I haven't. Oh,
I
I'm.
had to learn how to read people to survive and to stop from getting killed, robbed, and arrested most of the time.
Mhm.
I have a question. So, what exactly? How do you support the ex-cons? Because I know you say you have your business, or you have your. Is it a nonprofit, or is it a for-profit, or how does it work?
Okay, I think it'd be best to take about 5 minutes and bring you up to that,
Okay.
because back in 2015, when this was on my heart about ex-cons living in the world there, I used to run around interviewing people with my phone, you know, and one day I walked into it, my bank wouldn't give me, then I got LLC and I got my book published about the same time,
Right.
right? Now I needed a banking account, and the bank wouldn't give me a banking account. And I was on Miami Beach selling my books, walking the streets selling my books. And it's the Bank of America right there on Lincoln Road and Washington Avenue. And that was my stomping grounds right there, by the way, for 22 years, by the way. Okay, I slept on them bus benches right there and everything. I went in this bank and I asked them about it. They said, yeah, come on in. We're opening for you right now. I almost cried, you know, because I was having Transcontinental Society business bank account established. And I looked out the window and I looked at the spot where I stood in front of McDonald's. One day I was hungry. And back then they had 29-cent hamburgers and 39-cent cheeseburgers. I could not panhandle 29 cents to get a hamburger for 4 hours standing in front of McDonald's, And I remember that day. And I looked out that window and cried. because I was like, yeah, man, you come a long way. You
Right.
know, I cry in a heartbeat. Don't mind me.
Mhm.
I'm a boo and
Mhm.
That's okay.
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
so then I was writing the chaplain because I told you I was doing a lot of things in Everglades Correction Institutions where I got released from. And they said, yeah, come on in and take your fingerprints. We're going to send you some place to take your fingerprints so you can come in as a volunteer and speak. I'm following the GPS and I look up, I'm at Everglades Correctional Institution.
Mhm.
That's where I had to go to get fingerprint, where I got released at from, you know. Uh, that was emotional. And
Right.
then the first time, because I can go in any prison in the state of Florida now, as long as it's not private. I have a PIN number. I can go in any prison. But the first one I went to was the one I was released from. I was looking for a certain brother named Sharif. I don't know if y'all know what a Sharif is, but in prison, in the world, Sharif is the law. The law, he's the law, right? In prison, if you out of line, he the one gonna come kill you. When I was getting ready to get out, he looked me in my eye. He said, "If you come back here, I'm gonna kill you," and he meant it, and I knew he meant it. He said,
Mm.
"You got no business in here. You supposed to be out there changing the world." I said, "I'm coming back, but I ain't coming back the way you talk about." And I
Right.
came back with my tie on,
Wow.
and it was emotional, but it was my empowerment and self enlightenment program. Now I have a 10-week curriculum for that. But all of those changes that I went through over the last 2 years, it was like one thing after another major.
Mm.
So I was sitting talking on my phone, and somebody said, "Would you like to come talk on our show?" It was talking with Dozier, with Brother Dozier, and he has a Christian show. So I went on there and I talked about the things that I talk about in my car, and his daughter produces his show,
Right.
through StreamYard, and I asked her, could she hook me up something because I'm a kind of popular guy, a lot of people like me, and you know, and I have a cause that I want to put out there. But in the meantime, while I'm out selling my book again, I meet this lady looking a little like you, my sister, Deshana. And she said, "Oh, because I had my book, and I'm telling them about my book. This here, by the way, I call this a miracle book, okay? Because it was written in 40 days and 40 nights,
Wow.
all 87,000 words, 3 drafts by hand on black ink, longhand. And,
Right.
and this is the story of Marilyn Monroe's nephew. This is the only book in history ever written about the Mortensen side of Marilyn Monroe's family. Her name is Norma Jean Mortensen. And this is the only book in history that talks about the Mortensen side. Even in the documentaries, when you see Marilyn Monroe, she's in California already. These people from Brooklyn, so, and they're a trip too anyway. But I wrote that. That's one of the 9 books that I wrote while I was in there. I got children's series, fantasy series, detective series. You know, I'm a writer. So putting all that together and things happening, and then she told the lady said, "Well, I'm Dr. McCabe Morning. I have the #1 talk show on iHeartRadio for holistic healing." She said, "I'd like to have you on my show tomorrow." I said, "No problem. I'll call in." So I called in, and after I called in, it was like people was, "Can he come back? Can he come back?" And then next thing I know, Judge Joe Brown, people was calling me, and I wound up going on the Judge Joe Brown show, and from there, I guess things just start happening. But it wasn't based off of Judge Joe Brown, and the things that just start happening, you know. And I had started the podcast, the Doctor Speaks Variety Show. And I would have entertainers, I have lawyers, senators, doctors, judges, but there was no twerking on there, no trap stuff on there. If it's trap music, it has to have positive lyrics, things like that. And they winded up honoring me for the work that I was busy. I was busy. They wound up honoring me last year at this big celebration thing. God told my wife and I that at the peak where we was in Broward County, we were peaking. And God said, no, it's time for y'all to leave here. And the Spirit led us to Clearwater, you know. And about 2 weeks after we got here last year, Ian hit. But no matter, and since then, basically we've been staying in hotels and things like what they call them, baby, the like the house,
Rentals.
your vacation rentals and Airbnbs.
Airbnbs.
So, and there were times got rocky. It got real rocky. But every time that we just about got right there, God said, I got you.
Yeah.
Every time without fail. And I believe that's because I'm being obedient. I'm doing what I'm told. Today, as your question was, what it started out as when I started out going into the prison with empowerment and self-enlightenment, it was just to motivate them and let them know that somebody care. Because I was there. I know how I feel not to get mail, not to get visits, not to have you got to wear their underwear that they give you and their socks they give you. And 17 million people done wore them things when you get them. And I'm just saying it's crazy, So I know. So I went back to, enlighten them and empower them to do like I'm doing when they get out, to show that it can be done. And if I can do it, this crackhead can do it. I know it. I was 132 pounds at one time, soaking wet. My head was still the same size it is right now. I got a nice size, chromosome there. and but and I was shooting dope. They wanted to amputate my arm because I had poisoned it, and it swelled up like this, and the poison went in my lung and collapsed my lung and gave me a heart attack at the same time. They couldn't even put me to sleep to do the operation. They had to pinch nerves to numb it because I wouldn't let them cut it off, and they just sliced it open and left it open for the poison to drain. I got a big scar right there. No matter what, the spirits tried to take me out. All my partners there, it was 13 of us. They called us the Dirty Dozen. I'm the only one still living. And we were pimps, players, gamblers, strong arm robbers, con men. That was our crew. People who sold drugs couldn't hang with us because they wasn't hustlers. They sat on their butt and waited for money. That's not hustling. That's laziness. So they couldn't hang out with us. And all that I went through had started me talking about it and realizing that I came out of it. And if I came out of it, I can inspire somebody else that's going through what I went through to come up out of it. Now my mantra is, I don't want to die and be a martyr to show that what can be done. See what I'm doing today. Look at my life. It's an open book. Google me. My life is an open book. You can see where I'm at almost every hour, every day, and what I'm doing.
Right.
That's how open my life is. Then I love it like that because I want to be an example.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got I got a grant. I got an app and now with the Psychology of a Successful Return. I got my website. Things that just start back to back to back. And on my show, I was having some of the most powerful people in the nation. And it was during election time. Everybody wanted to be on my show. And I'm out there. I'm rooting for certain candidates and stuff. To run to win judgeships because I know if they sitting in the judge chair and if they can look at me and know I ain't did what they said, I might be able to get up out of it instead of getting 100 years like they do with us.
Right.
If the right people's on the bench.
Mm.
Well, if you don't vote, just shut your mouth and take it. You know what I'm saying? That's the truth. If you don't vote, what you got to say about it? And I'm a firm believer. If you see something wrong and you don't say something about it or do something about it, you with it.
Exactly.
You with it. You see me getting beat up and you just gonna stand there and watch on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
You like me to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That means that in my old days, you got to wear it too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you part of it now.
Mm-hmm.
And that mentality that won't leave. It's just the way that I act out on things change. Because now I use things called emotional intelligence. I use things called cognitive thinking for a change. I was one of the first people in the state of Florida to graduate from that class, integrated cognitive thinking for a change. I was one of
Right.
the first three in the state, to graduate with honors with that class. You know, and I just started pulling myself together, man. And then I realized the natural me is that kid who was skipping through the park, playing with the butterflies. And it's okay to be that way, especially when
100%.
people around you that love you.
Yes.
It's okay to be silly. It's okay, not to be neat all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to snore, you know, and the fart, and it's okay. You want to spray the bathroom, but everybody talk about, oh, that's real life. Not sitting on the toilet next to somebody having a conversation while they're on the toilet too.
Mm.
Life, and I refuse to go back to that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna prevent as many people as possible as going through that to go
Mm.
into it, and I'm gonna prevent as many people as possible to go back to that. That's my mission. That's what ex-cons of matter does. We have resources. Cause I know people who know people. We have resources. All right. People need housing. People need clothing. People need toilet paper and toothpaste and deodorant.
Right.
Okay. People need education. People know how to think. Need how to think straight. They have to know how to get with themselves and their creator. People need somebody to just believe in them. That's what ex-cons matter does. You
I
know,
like
I started this year. The beginning of the year, I changed the Doctor Speaks Variety Show to the Doctor Project, and I committed myself 100% towards ex-cons living in the world today, and ex-cons matter. So
that.
it's really been growing this year. And in the beginning of the year, I told them we ain't playing in 2023, and in 2024 you won't get some more because we ain't playing.
Right.
you know,
Right.
uh, it's been on and popping ever since. I'm in the academy to be a television producer. I'm shooting my pilots for my episodes to be released later this year. I own 6 radio stations. I'm on Black Power 96.3 FM in St. Pete. I'm on Power Connections on Thursday mornings. I, church on Sunday. I preach because I'm an associate minister with Life Changing Recovery Ministries. They deal
So,
everybody in there is in recovery from something. So I preach at that church. Tuesday nights I had the Doctor Project. Wednesdays I'm on the radio. Thursdays I'm on Power Connection, Sundays, and then all the other stuff in between. And I work from 9 to 5. And this Saturday we have a chain breaking conference coming. It's a state of emergency. I'm declaring a state of emergency in the United States of America.
Right.
I'm declaring a state of emergency. It's not a play. It's not a joke. It's very, very serious, and it's being ignored. Over 98% of the people in this country are suffering from adverse childhood experiences, and they don't even know it. And 1/3 of the country, of the entire population, are ex-convicts. Did you know that?
True. True.
1/3. If that's not a national emergency, and 1/3 of the population is destined to become an ex-convict in their lifetime.
Right.
If that is not a state of emergency, See, what's going to happen is people going to be start getting out these prisons, and they can't, they can't. They're not the doctor, okay? They ain't me. And if you don't get what you need, you're gonna go back to what you know, ain't you? And
Exactly.
who's at risk? Who's at risk now? The whole community. I remember when back in the crack epidemic, people used to, you be walking down the street carrying your baby with your pocketbook over your shoulder, they'll snatch the baby and throw it in the air. And when you reach for the baby, they'll snatch the pocketbook. I remember people walking up to the red light, punching through the wind, through the glass, and snatching the jewelry off the neck. Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
So I know how destitute a person can get if pushed far enough. You know, it's more than just getting pushed to selling your body.
Right.
Just getting pushed to eat out of garbage cans.
Right.
It's become dangerous for the community
Exactly.
as a whole. And if something is not done about this, we all are going to suffer in the next 20 years. We are
True.
at a state of emergency right now.
I believe that. I seriously believe that, and I appreciate what you do. Can you tell everyone how they can connect with you, what your social media handles are, or how they can, if they need to get into your program, because there are a lot of ex-cons that probably need to get into the program or need to talk to you, or you know what I'm saying, need some of the resources that you provide. So how can they contact you?
Earlier this year, in the beginning, I think it was February, I called out for 10,000 ex-convicts to come join me. Now, mind you, in the state of Florida, there are 1.9 million ex-convicts walking the street. I asked for 10,000 nationwide. It's like a drop of ink in the ocean. Over in California, they're locking up 7,000 youth per day. Per day. Not a week, not a month, per day. My social handles, I'm gonna go through them, because it's necessary. But I'm easy to find. Just Dr. Warren Crabb. Just Google me. Just Google me. But I'm on LinkedIn. All right, as Dr. Crabb. I'm on Facebook as Warren Crabb. I'm on Instagram as Dr. _Crabb. I'm on YouTube as Dr. Crabb. I am on, what else I'm on? I'm on everything. Twitter, you name it, I'm there.
Okay.
Huh? Oh yeah. How can I forget that? Earlier this year, I started a petition. Remember earlier I said that dogs have more rights than ex-cons? Well, I started a petition, and I don't know if y'all know that slavery is legal in this country?
A lot of
Do you?
people don't know that.
Uh-huh.
They really don't know that, but it is legal. It is
Yeah.
still
And I'm
legal.
fighting. I'm also fighting to abolish slavery. So I'm going
Mhm.
at the big guns. I ain't playing. I told them I
Right.
wasn't playing in 2023. All right. Slavery is big business in this country. It's one of the
Mhm.
largest businesses right under pharmaceuticals in this country. Okay, because it's free labor and they make trillions of dollars off of it.
Every year.
Literally. Yes. So I'm fighting to abolish slavery. Once a person is, according to the 13th Amendment, that was written when the population was 3,003, 150 something years ago. When a person is arrested and goes to prison, they lose their rights as a citizen and they become a slave. But my question is, once you paid your debt to society, when do you get your emancipation papers? Because I ain't got mine yet. And I've been out 10 years last week. I
Right.
ain't got mine yet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got all these organizations say these returning citizens. That's the new term, returning
Mm-hmm.
citizen.
Okay.
But I have
Mhm.
never been to a homeowners association and they said no, you can't stay here because you're a returning citizen.
Mm-hmm.
You can't work here because you're an attorney. I was working at help. You're falling and you can't get up. When they found my record, they fired me. They didn't say because we got to let you go because you're a returning citizen. They say because you're an ex-convict. That's why I say ex-cons matter. You know,
Right.
those other guys, the inmates and returning citizens, that's a different class. I'm talking about the ones that spent 5 years or more incarcerated at one time, calendar years. And when they get out, they're either going to need very serious mental health, well, most of us do, mental health counseling at the very least. But most of us have plans and goals and dreams, and we
Mhm.
move forward. That's what convicts do. A convict use all 86,400 seconds of every day to become a better person. So when they get out, they can take over the world like Pinky and the Brain.
True
Mm.
story. I love it. I love it. Well, we definitely appreciate you coming on the show,
Thank
um,
you.
sharing your in. I actually want you to come
Oh,
back again, but
I'm sorry. The drproject.com.
that's why I wanted you to
The
talk about.
website,
Yeah.
the drproject.com. Please go to the drproject.com. THEDR project.com.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, that's okay. That's okay because I wanted you to mention. I was going to ask you to mention the DR project for us. But usually on the show, what we do is at the end we ask people if they could leave the audience with something positive, something to get them through the week or the day, or something that just may support them. So, do you have something that it could be a quote, it could be anything?
Absolutely. Earlier, I said, I gave a profound quote that if you leave each day better than you found it, 300 in a year, you'd be 365 times better. All right, and this is another gem. You ready?
It's straight.
Ready?
You are not in the universe. The universe is in you,
Mm.
and it does exactly what you tell it to do.
What you Mhm.
It is not. It has no prejudice. If you tell it, I want $1 million, even if I got to lose a toe, guess what's getting ready to happen? You about to lose a toe if you get that $1 million, or you're going to lose a toe to get that $1 million. That's how the universe works. I tell the universe I'm going to be the first African. I am the first African American trillionaire.
Mm. Beautiful.
I've been saying this for many years, and that's where I'm heading. I see God's path, and you need to see it in your life. Because you dictate what your life is going to be, because we are made in God's image, and
Mm.
He says to a thing, "Be," and it is just
Mhm.
like that. Be, and there you go.
And it's
We have that power also. I gave a sermon on the great I am. I am is the magic word.
Mhm.
Am. You are whatever you say you are. You are exactly what you say you are. And
Mhm.
the universe
exactly.
does exactly what you tell it to do.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. Dr. Sierra, do you have any ending words?
I just want to thank him. I'm not going to follow up behind that. I'm going to yield. But I just want to thank him for his time. Um, just sharing all your wealth of knowledge, your passion. Um, Clearly, you're articulate, creative. I mean, captivating. And so I just honor you tonight and your time, because you could be anywhere else doing a multitude of things, but you're given to this community of people that we serve, but also a lot of practitioners that follow us as well, that are looking for ways to continue to help the collective. So I value it from that perspective too, not just as a practitioner, but also to other practitioners who's listening, like, how do I help? How do I tap in? And so
Well,
you gave us so much that we can utilize and then share. And I'm really appreciative of that. So thank you so much.
I have to tell myself to shut up sometime.
Thank you.
It's
Well, I
okay.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
We definitely want to appreciate you though, like Dr. Sierra. It's nothing to follow up behind that. I really want you to come back on the show again because I feel like you could have had you have more to say and more to share.
Oh yeah.
Um, criminal justice is my thing. That's what my minor is in. So like criminal justice, convict, how can they get better? Shifting their mindset from the old to the new, that is very important to me, like very, very important to me. So I really would love for you to come back on the show again at a later time. I know you got big things going on. September the 30th. How do people, if they want to sign up for that virtual meeting, how would they sign up for that?
It's a Chain Breakers Conference. The psychology of a successful return is the state of emergency. I'm sorry, I messed it up. The psychology of a successful return, chain breakers conference, is a state of emergency.
Okay.
Bitly. Everybody's familiar with Bitly through Eventbrite?
Yeah.
Okay. Bitly/TCSUP Live. TCSUP is the acronyms for Transcontinental Society Unlimited Productions.
Okay.
All right. So TCSUP Live.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
y'all heard that. Y'all go and sign up because I'm sure there's a lot of guest speakers and I'm sure it's gonna be something wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And it's in the chat. So don't worry about it. Just click on that chat because someone put it in the chat for us. I think that's your wife. She put it in there for us.
I was trying to figure out how to get to the chat. Mine
That's my
says
father.
Crabb. It's so good.
Can I say one thing for the brothers? This is for the men. I don't care what your pigmentation is. All right. There's no kingdom without a queendom.
Mm.
You better believe that. You better learn how to submit to your queen so you can be a king.
Mm.
Wow,
That's the only way a man can be a man is to submit to a woman.
Mm.
That's why God tells us to leave our mothers and cleave to our wives.
Wow.
To take the place of your mother in wisdom, not
Mm.
in security, but in wisdom and leadership. Because they
Right.
want what's best for you.
Mm.
Men, you've never seen a king reign for long without a queen. Queens can run things for centuries,
Mhm.
but you've never seen a king reign for long without a queen. Because that's the backbone of every kingdom.
Love it. I love it.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I'm a
So
firm believer in that.
I love it.
Firm.
You
That
too.
was so like that made my heart go
Yeah, that's very touching for
nice.
sure.
That was touching. So we appreciate you again, and as usual, thank you all for watching with Dr. Sierra and I. Fresh insight, new perspective.
Yes.
Y'all know we here every last Thursday, whether it's the fifth Thursday or the fourth Thursday, we're gonna be here, and we're gonna be on
Listen,
the show, and we
the
definitely gonna
fourth
have.
Thursday of next month is my birthday, right? When's Halloween? My birthday's Halloween.
Oh, happy birthday coming
I'll
up.
be
Happy
61.
birthday.
I'll be 61.
61.
Tuesday. Wow.
Oh, it's a Tuesday. Okay, I know it's during the week.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll be
He said, I know
61.
during the week. So,
Yes.
but we are going to get out here because we don't want to hold y'all too
Okay.
long.
Yes.
But we will definitely see y'all again. We love y'all. We
Absolutely.
appreciate y'all. And
Yes.
good
I'm
night.
looking forward to seeing you all on the Doctor Project.
Yay.
I'm definitely going to look it up. I wrote it all down.
Yes.